Thank you for joining us for today's edition of Devotions with Brother Aaron. Today's devotion is entitled Existing Structural Problems. I wrote the majority of the devotion you're hearing today on January the 21st, 2000. The truth it contains is just as relevant today, if not more so, than it was 26 years ago. The other day, I had the privilege of hearing Dr. Bailey Smith preach. During his sermon, Dr. Smith told of an engineering firm that had been conducting structural safety inspections on bridges throughout the United States. Dr. Smith stated, to my amazement I might add, that the firm had concluded that there are 600 bridges in America today that are in imminent danger of collapse because of existing structural problems. I found the quote, because of existing structural problems, to be the most interesting. This means that nothing else has to happen for these bridges to collapse. I found it very interesting that the news today, 2026, is filled with reports of the possible collapse of a high-rise building being remodeled and repurposed in New York City. In fact, the steel girders on the 23rd floor are already visibly buckling. News stories report that the company responsible for the remodel or repurpose was previously cited for 22 violations. According to the Department of Buildings database, the building's owners owe the city $39,000 in fines tied to the violations. Union representatives and construction workers criticized the ongoing project, alleging that safety concerns were not prioritized. That is not something you typically see in New York City, said Cliff Johnson of Steamfitters Local 638. We have one of the best labor forces in the world. So, to me, having a building undergo steel bending while it's under construction is a lack of vetting your contractors. To me, it is a case of picking profits over safety. As I thought about today's headline story and what Dr. Smith had said, I began to realize that this is a picture of humanity. We're born into this old world with and have created sufficient structural damage, sin, to cause our own collapse. Nothing else has to happen. Given the flaws that already exist in each of our lives, if we don't do something to prevent it, in time, the sin that already exists in our lives will become sufficient to cause our collapse. When we suffer moral failure or any other kind of failure, we want to blame it on extenuating circumstances. But the truth of the matter is, as with the bridges I've mentioned, it isn't the possibility of one extra car crossing the bridge that will cause it to collapse. The bridge can collapse because somebody ignored the underlying structural faults that have been there all along. So it is with us. When we suffer moral failure, as a general rule, it isn't because of the one big sin that occurred in our lives. It's because we have ignored and refused to address the underlying sin that has been in our lives all along. I wonder how many people hearing this devotion today are ignoring an underlying structural sin or a problem in their lives. My friend, you can ignore the sin in your life all you want, but that doesn't cause it to go away. And mark my words, ignored or unconfessed sin will eat at you like a cancer, continually weakening you until one day the weight of your sin will cause your life to come crashing down around you. Hear me when I say, ignoring sin is a dangerous game to play. You'll always lose. I've often said that problems or sins in our lives do not just go away. They have to be honestly confronted and dealt with. I encourage you today to inspect your life, identify the structural problems of sin, and allow the carpenter of Nazareth, Jesus Christ, to perform the necessary renovations. For other foundation can no man lay than that is laid, which is Jesus Christ. 1 Corinthians 3:11. Lord, today, would you help us, God, to take an honest look at ourselves, do an honest evaluation of ourselves, identify our sin, our weaknesses, those things that are placing us in imminent danger, and the realization of an imminent collapse that is looming in our lives. And then to deal with that, and would you strengthen us, Lord, and God, put us back into the work you've called us to do, God, refreshed, renewed, repaired, and ready to serve you. And I ask this in your name, amen.